Arc Raiders. I came into the game like, I don't know, and then I really liked it, because it gave me thrilling and unique experiences I can't get anywhere else. But now I only want to play it with friends, otherwise it's not worth it. There's something off, and I'm pretty sure it's the balance and design of the game. The game has great gameplay, interesting enemies, and the biggest appeal is that it has the potential to give you great stories. Like this one time a bastion or something was just lighting up some guys trapped in a bus. And then me and a friend came there and killed the bastion. And then the people that were trapped came rushing out of the bus, thanking us for saving them. And I saw videos of people finding random players and ganging up together to kill queen robots. But this is the exception, not the rule. Right now everyone is just shooting each other with not a word spoken. And that's actually the part that reveals the stuff that feels wrong with the game. I like the game, I just think it needs some tweaks. With that said, like and subscribe and let's get into it. Gameplay. Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter. This means if you take gear into a match and then die, then you lose all your gear and loot. So there should be some benefit to risking good gear in the system, right? Not really. Depending on where you stand, then that's a good or a bad thing. The guns and gear in general is really balanced, so in PvP there isn't a big difference between the cheap guns and the expensive guns. How fast you die from them is pretty much the same. This applies to the guns and also to the shields. Which is good for beginners because you won't just get immediately smashed by grinders with expensive kits every match. You are still on a pretty much even playing field, but then what's the incentive to get good loot if it doesn't really matter? That's the problem I'm running into with the game. The incentive to get better loot just isn't there really, since I could just as well just go with the cheap stuff. And that kinda sucks. I would like to grind the game, but I don't see the point. And some people will say, just play the game for fun. And I do, but that is the short-term fun in the game. Going into the matches and killing arcs or players, and yes, that is good and fun, aside from the disagreement I have with the balance. But the long-term fun of the game is kinda ruined for me. And that's usually why people grind. For the long-term fun. Working towards having the best stuff, and then the immense satisfaction you get when you actually have the best stuff. That's the long-term fun, and that fun is ruined when you know the best stuff is only at best slightly better than the worst stuff. So in my opinion, they should either make the better stuff better or the worst stuff worse. Especially the stuff you get in free kits. If you go into a match with a free loadout, it should feel like trash. It should be stuff that makes you struggle. Like have some cost. Right now it doesn't have a cost. It's just good gear except you don't have a save slot. In an extraction shooter, gear should matter. Otherwise the grind is just pointless. I feel like the best gear in the game should make you like the guy in Spy Kids 3, where people go, oh holy shit, that's the guy. Right now there's nothing like that, because gear means nothing. The time to kill is also pretty fast, and so that always gives an advantage to the player that shoots first. But I feel like I usually have enough time to run to cover. But I would like it a little more if the time to kill was just a little higher. To make the game more skill-based, more about better tactics, reflexes, and consistency, rather than just camping and ambushes. This is a game where I don't want to kill people, but sometimes I don't have a choice. Either a teammate is feeling spicy or someone shoots at me and I gotta square up. But I really love that PvPing is an option. When you run into a guy, you could start shooting each other, or you could talk to them. Maybe team up and rule the city, Spider-Man, or just go your separate ways. This part of the game and the arcs is why I fell in love with it. It creates the unique, thrilling and memorable situations you can get into. A strong social aspect. So to summarize, the PvP is made more interesting by the social aspect, but the balancing of the weapons and gear makes the loot a bit meaningless. And I think on its own, the PvP itself is a bit weak. For me, it is at its best when paired with the threat of the Ark. That's why Bluegate, which is full of Ark, is my favorite map, and Stellamontis, which has very few Ark, is my least favorite. In Stellamontis, a fight is usually just a standard PvP fight, but in Bluegate or Buried City, if you get into a fight, you will probably get third-partied by an Ark, which creates a much more interesting situation. That doesn't actually happen that often, because usually the Ark have been cleared out, or they are surprisingly deaf. I think to make the game more interesting, they could make the Ark not necessarily more dangerous, but more active, more perceptive. Patrols that stretch a larger area, or better hearing, so that if a gunfight happens, it's more likely that Ark shows up. And even just without factoring in the PvP to the Ark equation, I still think they should make the Ark more dangerous. Because at least for me, the Ark danger is mostly a solved problem. Don't get me wrong, the Ark are really fun to fight. Shooting off the little fans on the flying Arks and watching them crash to the ground is super satisfying. And also shooting the legs off leapers makes me coom. But again, it's a solved problem. It's pretty easy to kill them or avoid them. So making them more dangerous would make the PvE more interesting and engaging, but also the PvP. Because it would make the PvP situation more dynamic, and would make PvPers think, I could shoot that guy, but that might bring the Ark here. And if a fight starts, then the Ark are more likely to come, and then that could force you to team up against the Ark with the guys you were fighting. I'm pitching ideas here, which is kinda lame, because I'm just some guy. But it just comes down to the idea that this is a PvPvE game. But right now it feels much more like a game that has PvE and PvP. And those don't usually mix that much, at least in my experience. I'm usually either in a PvE situation or a PvP situation, and I'd like them to mix more. I've been complaining too much, so let's talk about some things I like. The movement is good. It's like the perfect middle ground between fast and slow movement. You don't feel too slow and you don't feel too fast. Teammates can finish quests for you, which is awesome. So like, you'll have a quest to kill 5 Arks, and if your teammate kills an Ark, then that will take up on your quest. Big fan of that. The Robot Queen can step on you, so if you're a deranged sex pervert, then you'll like that. Time to complain again. Late spawns suck. Less time to loot and you can get spawn camped. When I saw late spawns before I played the game myself, I was like, oh cool, a persistent server for maps. Nope, it's just matches with late spawns. And if you spawn late, you have less time to loot and almost everything has already been looted. And less time to extract. It just does not feel good as the late spawner, and it's annoying for the ones who've been in the match already. Because they've already been fighting, but now they also have to fight a team with fresh gear and presumably a lot of supplies. If it actually was a persistent server for the map that you just spawn into, then I would be fine with it for the most part because of the novelty, but it's not. It's a 30-minute match that you can spawn into with 18 minutes remaining and everything already looted. Okay, one more idea. Bounty system for PvPers. Kinda like an in-universe penalty system. Do a lot of PvP on poor innocent little baby raiders, and then Speranza puts a bounty on you. And so, when you spawn into a map, the area you are in gets marked on the map. As a PvPer, you should love this, because you'll get to hunt bounties, and if you are the bounty, then the PvP will come to you. And for the PvEers, they'll be able to avoid you. Everyone wins, maybe. It could also make the interesting stories you get in this game less likely to happen. Overall, the gameplay is good. Shooting and movement is good. The thing that could get boring the fastest is the endless looting. Conclusion. This is an extraction shooter, but I didn't get sold on this game as an extraction shooter. I got sold on it as an adventure game, a crazy situation generator, and it delivers on it for the most part. Like one time I was in a firefight with some other raiders and was running between buildings, and when I was running across one plank between the buildings, I got hit by a mortar. I don't remember the rest, but that stray mortar is one of my most memorable moments in a video game. And recently me and a friend got stuck inside a building because of not one, but two rocketeers bombarding us. And we spent the whole match just killing them and then running away with our tail tucked between our legs. And then once we are at the extract, some raiders start shooting us, my friend gets downed, and I make it in there, and get ready on the buttons as he crawls in, just hoping that the other raiders don't manage to get here before he gets in. Luckily, we make it out. And that moment we get out was pure catharsis. Because I can barely afford to make myself a new loadout. It was a damn good adventure, and your adventures in this game is the selling point. And it's what the devs should focus on elevating and enhancing. It's how I sold my friends on the game, and now they keep sending their stories at me. It's great. It's about a month since the game came out, and at this point I feel like the memorable adventures are losing out in favor of just mindless and standard PvP. And I'm not a fan of that. Just PvP in this game is kinda boring and annoying because it feels a little bit like my gear just got wasted on nothing. But I always love the PvE here. The Ark are a really fun enemy to fight, and I just wish the experience of this game was more about the Ark. Make them more dangerous, more prevalent. They are the best part of this game, and it kinda makes me sad that this game was supposed to be purely PvE, and they gave up on that. Because they couldn't make it work. They couldn't make just PvE work. So they put PvP in there. And yeah, it definitely makes the game a lot more interesting and can be really fun, but endless ambushes and just getting randomly shot is annoying and makes the game boring. So my wish is just to make PvP less likely by making Ark more dangerous. Let's picture it as a slider between PvE and PvP. Right now I feel like the game is encouraging PvP more. The slider is more on the PvP side. I just want them to bring that slider more over to the PvE side, with whatever method. some PvP punishment, like a bounty system, or make some arc that actively hunt you or something. I don't know, I just love the arc as an enemy, they are really fun to fight. The PvP, yeah, it's alright, it's less fun. I also wanna address the AI thing. The game uses AI for in-game voices. Basically those in-game pings, which is a good use for it. Then the voices will actually talk about the things in the game.
Building. I'm watching that area by the testing annex. Checking for loot in the administration building.
And if you are against this, then you are fighting a losing battle, I'm sorry to say. AI is happening. There is no stopping it. The AI thing is an arms race now. It's the second industrial revolution and has more money in it than the Cold War between Russia and the USA. It's gonna happen. Better to learn to live with it and how to manipulate it now rather than later. Arc Raiders is a great game, and I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, maybe the balance isn't exactly how I want it, and there's a lot of mindless PvP. But when you get those crazy moments, all the annoyance and struggle you suffered becomes worth it. Because it's damn fun, and you come away with it with a good adventure, a good story. High highs and low lows is a good way to describe the game. I recommend the game, especially for people struggling with anxiety. You'll definitely love this. That was supposed to be a joke, but actually it's great exposure therapy. The tension when you're running around looting, always keeping an eye out for any danger, just plain paranoia. And then the social anxiety of trying to talk yourself out of PvP, and then the thrill of PvP, or getting bombarded by a large arc, and then the catharsis of extracting. It just makes you feel alive. It's awesome, and you might even make some friends. Hopefully the devs can make the game even gooder. Make the game better at giving you stories, and make gear a little more meaningful. I give the game a matriarch stepping on you out of a bombardier hiding from me. I saw him all the time when I wasn't looking for him, but now that I want his cells, he just stops existing in every match. The Christmas special event was pretty cool. Exams are done, and I now have free time. More videos should come out soon. Until then, like and subscribe, call me Uncle Brian, and have an awesome day.
Det är curry kokar det. Shit.